Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Morning Meditations with me, Josh. Hope you had a great night's rest and you are looking forward to a beautiful brand new day. We're studying the parables, and today we're looking at a parable that is unique only to the Gospel of Luke. And you can find this parable in Luke chapter 12, verses 13 through 21. And it reads like this. It says, "Someone in the crowd said to him, 'Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me.' Jesus replied, 'Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?' Then he said to them, 'Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions.' And then he told them this parable. 'The ground of a certain rich man produced a good crop. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store all my grain and all my goods. And I'll say to myself, "You have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich toward God." Now it's worth noting that in this very section, this crowd that Jesus refers to in the beginning, someone from the crowd said, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." This crowd consists of many thousands of people. So many that if you look back at the beginning of chapter 12, verses 1 through 12, it describes them as trampling on one another. And Jesus began to speak first to his disciples, saying, "Be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy." And then he goes on and gives them this discourse. And then this guy kind of chimes in out of nowhere, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Now, this parable is probably one of the most relevant parables that is relevant to us today for many reasons. One, because it has a lot to do with money and greed. But more than that, it has to do with our attitudes towards money, our attitudes towards our possessions and resources, and what those attitudes about those things reveal about us and our relationship with God. So Jesus replies to the man, "Who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" That's indicative that the man was trying to bring Jesus into this equation, this scuff that he was having with his brother about inheritance. And this is really the role of a Pharisee, of a rabbi, to be an arbiter between two people who are having a disagreement. And Jesus simply refuses to enter into this arbitration, which it really isn't an arbitration at all, because the man isn't asking for Jesus to arbitrate between him and his brother. He's just asking him to choose his side and make his brother give him some of the inheritance. And Jesus redirects everything by bringing the focus back into the equation of the man's heart towards his possessions. And so this man is saying this, and Jesus is like, "Dude, who appointed me judge or arbiter between you?" And then he said to them being his disciples, he's like looking over to them who are close to him, saying, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." Totally concur, right? It's like the ultimate, you can't take it with you. So, this guy, he goes, has a good crop, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? He just had a great season. Now, it says he was already a rich man, and the rich man produced a good crop. So he already had wealth and abundance, and now he has even more abundance with this good crop. And listen to his words, what he says to himself, his thoughts to himself. Listen to all the I's and me's and my's. What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. Then he said, this is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store up all my grain and my goods. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry. And so you can see in his own thoughts to himself, me, mine, this is mine, my crops. He's already a rich guy. He's been blessed with a good harvest, and he wants to hoard it all. And so it's like, what does that reveal about the state of this guy's feelings about possessions and money and security and like having an easy life and kind of withdrawing from maybe some of the working that he might have to do to just live it up and take it easy, eat, drink, and be merry, he says. There's nothing wrong with saving money. There's nothing wrong with having money. There's nothing wrong with having wealth. It's not a sin to have money and be wealthy. But what it does highlight is our thoughts and our ties, our emotions and our motives for seeking wealth and maintaining wealth, right? So like if you have a bunch of money and you see people who are in need and you're like, man, that sucks. Like, boy, God, please provide for these people who are hungry and have nothing. And it's like God is like, yeah, man, like you are the one who's recognizing that these people are hungry and have nothing. You have all this money, and yet you're praying to me to do something for them. How about I am doing something for them? I sent them you to recognize them in the world and how you have all this excess and abundance. And maybe if it's in your heart, you can help them out. That's God working through people, right? There's nothing wrong with saving money. There's nothing wrong with saving money for your kids, for college. There's nothing wrong with saving money to have, a few months of bills and mortgage in the bank. There's good financial practices to have. But this is talking about beyond that, right? This is talking about wealth in excess and shrewdness and wanting to hoard what we have, even to the point where we're spending more money to tear down things that we already have to build bigger things to then hold the abundance that is just accumulating within us. And the irony of it all is that we don't know how much time we have left in this life, right? God says, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get all you have? Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? We can't take it with us. We don't know how much time we have. And so it is better to be fiscally responsible, save our money for the things that we, have, our goals and things, but also temper that with generosity and compassion, especially for those needs that we see around us. If we're not hungry, or not going hungry, we've got clean clothes on our backs and a roof over our head, we're doing pretty good. And probably a lot better than a lot of people in the world. So if it's within us, our capability to buy somebody a sandwich or buy them a new jacket or some of the things that we just take for granted all the time, if we can do that, let's do that. That honors God. So that's what I want you to think about today, guys. Think about your relationship to your things, your money, your possessions, your goals, and try and see is there anything there that maybe is unhealthy between you and your possessions, you and God and your possessions, and how you feel about that. All right? I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow.